Hi. Gonna go over some pages in the modern day book by Reverend Susan MeeLing. That's me. I'm gonna start on page Irony 209, which is chapter 9. Irony. Okay. Chapter 9 is called Domestic Terrorism and Religious Spiritual Terrorism Guidelines Redefined. Or defined, period, because I looked it up online and I didn't see any definitions for, like, legal ramifications. So this is, or in full definitions. So I'm gonna do some clarifications, make some recommendations, I mean, I'm obviously not in Congress, I'm obviously not in Senate, or I'm technically not a congressman, or congresswoman, I'm technically not a senator, I'm obviously not the vice president, and I'm obviously not the president of the United States of America. Because, the president of the United States of America is Donald J. Trump at this point in time, and the vice president of the United States of America is Mike Pence at this point in time. So, technically, and in the state of Texas, it's Senator John Cornyn this time, and Senator Ted Cruz. He's such a teddy bear. But then again, teddy bears. I think I call them Mises, but they're moose. They're Mises. I don't care how tall they are. Cute little Mises. Cute little noses. I mean, the antlers are huge, but still, it's cute. I mean, could you imagine a pair of wings like that? So I'm going to pause before I start this because I'm simple-minded. So I went to a gem show with a friend up in Seattle, and she got to meet my son, and there were these two huge geodes that were made out of amethyst, and I stood in front of them and I was like, what do you think? She looks at me and she's like, they're pretty. And I'm like, no, wouldn't these be some awesome wings? And she's like, they look heavy. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And she was like, no, Susan, they look heavy. I'm like, I could carry it around on my back, it's no big deal. But wouldn't they look pretty? Just be like, ah. And she was just, oh my God, Susan, seriously? And I'm like, yes, would that not look phenomenal? Just be like, psh. And then before leaving the state of Texas, I was like, hey, Sam. He was like, what? I was like, I have an idea for wings. And he was like, all right, what do you have? Because you have this little devious look on your face. I was like, it would be so much fun. It would be so much fun. It would be so much fun to have Constantine wire wings. Just be like, psh. And he was like, yeah, so like, that would hurt people. And I was like, it would make sure they didn't get too close if they, And he was just like, yeah, how about something else? Like, not Constantine wire. That might be a little, like, dangerous. And I was like, not for me. Others, well then, just don't mess up. And he was just like, really Constantine wire wings? I don't know. I was like, Sam Lewis to be specific. It would be awesome. Just think of how pretty those tendrils would be just coming out. And it's just like, oh, yeah. So that would be different. And what about barbed wire instead? Why barbed wire? I mean, come on. Yeah, okay, barbed wire is sharp and pointy, but Constantine wire wings. And he's just like, ooh, Dori? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, do you know what Constantine wire looks like? I was like, well, there is wire that is so much more sharp than that. I don't know what they're called, but they're like, I'm just going to stop on that now. But that would look, and just be like, and he was like, how would you prevent them from like hitting you? I'm like, well, you know, make sure that, you know, just kind of, anyway, I'm just going to go back to reading. But it would look awesome. And those amethyst wings, they just, and they kind of were in the shape of like the tablets for the 10 Commandments. Just be like, psh, and be fun. Just saying, I'm a little weird, I don't deny it, but but saying, it would look awesome. And I'm not talking about like pretend, I'm talking about real. And just the meesy wings, just have meesy antlers and be like, what's up? I would wear them. If somebody wants to make them, I will wear them if I get to keep them. Get the meesy wings. Be like, psh. I know they're heavy, but yeah, just saying. Little meesy. Anyway. I know that they're heavy-ish. I've carried a little bit more weight than that. Anyway, so I will start this chapter before proceeding to the next chapter with giving the Merriam-Webster as well as the dictionary online explanations as far as the Latin etymology version to explain the following words as a preface and precursor. The word domestic, 1a, living near or about human habitations. 1b, tame or domesticated. 2, of relating to or originating within a country and especially one's own country, for example, the United States of America. 3, of or relating to the household or the family. 4, devoted to home duties and pleasures. 5, indigenous. 6, a servant or hired to work for a household. 7, an article such as a rug or blanket manufactured within one's own country for use in a household. 8, Latin domesticus, a derivative of domus, also known as dome or domestique of Middle French. 9, Latin dom equals house. Greek is eso, within. Greek is also stitch, equaling line, and row and stoch equals aim. Spiritual. 1, of relating to, consisting of, or affecting the spirit. Incorporeal, spiritual needs. Incorporeal means in body or out of the body. 2, of or relating to sacred matters, spiritual songs. 3, ecclesiastical rather than lay or temporal, spiritual authority, lords or lady, spiritual. 4, concerned with religious values. 5, related or joined in spirit, spiritual home, his or her spiritual heir. 6, of or relating to supernatural beings or phenomena, relating to or involving spiritualism or spiritualistic. 7, I think I remembered. Spiritual in plural is things of a spiritual, ecclesiastical, or religious nature. 8, a religious song, usually of deeply emotional character that was developed especially among blacks in the southern United States. I still have not seen a black person. I'm not trying to be rude, but like this stovetop right here, that's black. I have not seen anybody that color. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to sound racist, but like as much as I've heard that that's racist, like, okay, so that's black, but I have not seen somebody that color. Not trying to be rude. I had to be retaught colors after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 and waking up from the coma. I have still yet to see a black person. I've met all sorts of ethnic backgrounds. I have not met a black person. That right there, that is a color black. That is the color black. C is black. That is black. Not met a black person. I'm not trying to be racist when I say that. I don't think that's racist because I have not met a person that is that color. I've seen that color hair. Is that what people mean? Just saying. I'm not trying to be a dick when I say that. It's just realistically, I have not met a black person. And not to be rude, but even though people say that, like, President Obama, when he was president, was the first black person, or first black president, I have not seen where he looks black. He has a darker tan. But it, like, that, whatever. I'm not trying to sound rude. It just, I've seen black ink. Does that make me black because I have black ink tattoos? I don't think it does. I mean, if it's like, does that mean that I'm colorist? I do like to color though, so there is that. But I have black ink? You can't see it right now. Irony, I changed clothes, but I have my pet snake, Methuselah. This is the first pet I had. It's a tattoo of Methuselah. I named him all those years ago. But anyway, still haven't met a black person. I'm not trying to be rude. Unless you're referring to, like, the color wheel and stuff like that, and that's what black means. But then it goes back to color, and I still have, then, like, anybody with a bunch of tattoos, that they're technically black, right? Is that what that means? I'm not trying to sound stupid. It's just realistic. Anyway, 9. Capitalized. Any of a party of 13th and 14th century Franciscans advocating strict observance of a rule of poverty of their order or for their order. Kind of, if you think about that, it sounds, these are what I found online, but yeah, like if spiritual is capitalized, apparently it sounds like it'd be like socialized. But, and I'm not for that. I'm not a fan of socialist government. No offense to those who do. No. I understand social programs where they can help those, but no. Religious. Going back to staying on topic. It's in my face. Technically, this is in my face. Religious. 1. Relating to or manifesting faithful devotion to an acknowledged ultimate reality or deity, a religious person or religious attitudes. 2. Relating to or of devoted to religious beliefs or observances joined a religious order. 3. Scrupulously and consciously faithful, fervent, and zealous. 4. A member of a religious order under monastic vows. Now, in reference to the definition of terrorism. 1. The systematic use of terror, especially as a mean of coercion. 2. In Latin, ter is rub. Latin also in teret or terret is rounded. Latin for terr equals dry land. And Latin, or is mouth, so the mouth of dry land or the mouth rounded or rubbing wrong with words. So that really, but in conclusion with actions as well. But terror, 1, a state of intense or overwhelming fear. 2, violence or threat of violence used as a weapon of intimidating or coercion, especially violent or destructive acts such as bombing, committed by groups in order to intimidate a population or government into granting their demands. 3, a very frightening or terrifying aspect. 4A, someone or something that inspires fear. 4B, an extremely disruptive or annoying person or thing. 5, going back to Latin, there is RIS, to laugh. Greek, IS is equal or the same, and so if you think of that, then in certain ways socialism could be considered as terrorism. And then those who throw a titty baby temper tantrum at those who laugh at certain things, not in a malicious way, but in a way to provoke fear, technically you could consider such. And realistically, certain things, comparatively, when it comes to other people's stuff. Anyway, thus, when taking the combination of Latin and Greek sub and pretext for the words of domestic terrorism in reference to my Medal of Honor art project and those who went after such, did they go into any House of Representatives, whether of Congress and or Senate, in regards to whether or not to line up the varying agencies of the law enforcement to go after me on false pretenses through FISA or FOIA on dry land while attempting to cause problems by rubbing the members thereof in the wrong way through lying to them and to the other government agencies of the United States of America, using their words to do so that they could laugh at the problems that they created for myself, my Medal of Honor art project, the military associations of the United States of America's armed forces, the states thereof, and etc., also obviously including my son and my daughter were in that, while laughing at the problems that they created, meaning cherubim. Before I begin going further, there are a few factors I need to add which are key to this point of the book, as well as while there were and are my memory problems from my Palm Sunday 2000 head injury, along with the cognitive disorders and having gone from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math, such through my book probably has given, and a few other things, memory deficits, headaches, migraines, all that. Throughout my book probably has given several examples in some ways, since I am the only one who is editing. I haven't had someone help me edit, so I'm doing the best I can. However, there was a very nice couple who would attend Sapphire, a place in Washington State, which had always asked me to look up the Answar Award from Australia, which is that country's equivalent of the Medal of Honor for military members, as well as a monument in Washington University. In reference to the Washington University monument, I had looked up in the pictures, which reminded me about the boy, which was a biological adult, who threw a temper tantrum when I was with my now ex-boyfriend, Jesse Leroy Hoover Jr., in downtown Tacoma with purple W socks. So I'm going to put that down and explain that real quick. And then I'll take a break, and by the time the boy in downtown Tacoma came up to me, I had already been working on my Medal of Honor art project. And I had started my website, www.susanmeeling.com, and I had written several journal blog entries in the Ornery PSA. This particular boy that came up to, and of course I had already registered some of my books through the Library of Congress. That also includes the different variances of my saying that shouldn't take a head injury to figure that out, or variants of. So this boy runs up to me as my now ex-boyfriend stands there, and he goes, "Do you think," oh, and by the way, I had already stated I was supporting President Trump at that time, and I had written a journal blog entry giving references of the vehicles in reference to the different candidates, and not in a negative way, just in a, look, this is a way you could view, like in a short-term and long-term sort of way. So, And not negating that they could do other stuff. Obviously, I very much think that should be in the Supreme Court, but I also don't think that I'm the only one on that, because he is very much a constitutionalist. I agree with that. But I didn't think he needed to be president. I don't think he could handle it. Anyway, so this boy runs up to me after I said that, and it was almost like he was waiting for me to say that, like he was, looking back now, almost like he was following around, like, she's gonna say it one of these days, and then when she says it, I'll go and be all grr. And I was like, yeah, I got a grr for you. Anyway, so he runs up to me, and he's like, what do you think people with head injuries would think about what you just said? And he kind of did this little smirk. I don't know if he was expecting me to be intimidated because he was in college and had the little purple W socks. I don't know if he thought I was going to be intimidated because he was a male. I really don't care why he had the, like, he could have been smirking at some female he was trying to impress, whatever. I was just like, really? And I look him up and down and I'm just like, what? And so my now ex-boyfriend, Jesse Leroy Hoover Jr., who had seen what happens when certain individuals attempt to do certain things, looks at me and says, you have cigarettes, right? Do you need me to get you a pack of cigarettes? I can go get you another pack of cigarettes. Would you like me to get you another pack of cigarettes? I could get you another pack of cigarettes if you want me to get you another pack of cigarettes. And then he looks at the boy and he's like, I am not willing to save you from her devouring your soul in front of everybody here. And then he looks back at me and he's like, do you want a pack of cigarettes? Do you need a pack of cigarettes? I could get you a pack of cigarettes. And then when I was like, no, he goes and hides in an alleyway in downtown Tacoma. Like, literally went into the alleyway like, you can't see me. And it's like, really? All right. No, you're not going to be a man? All right. You're biologically a man. All right. I see why you were friends with Kevin. So, I take a step forward and I'm like, so, hypothetically speaking, if I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, would it be okay if I said it shouldn't take a head injury to figure certain things out? And the boy in the little W socks, he had a little man bun. Yeah, far from it. I guess I could give you permission to say that. What was that? And he repeated it. Hypothetically speaking, if I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, and I was in a coma, would you give me permission to say that? I guess I could give you permission to say that. And it was almost like he was looking at someone. I was like, hypothetically speaking, if I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, I was in a coma, and it happened during basic training for the United States of America's Army. Would it be okay if I said that? And again, the boy just, I guess I could give you permission to say that. And every point, the Palm Sunday 2000 head injury, the basic training, the Fort Sill, Oklahoma, the medevac to Fort Sam Houston, the coma, the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain, the headaches, the migraines, the cognitive disorders, the memory deficits, going from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math, like each individual one. Hypothetically, thinking that this college boy is going to remove his cranium from his sphincter, possibly even his intestines, because of how far up his sphincter that college boy had his cranium. He would cross his arms, stroke his, like, 1 or 2 hairs. Just... with his little man bun. Cross his arms like he was pretending to be, like, hard. And, you know, and when I say hard, I don't mean hard. I mean, like, you know, and yeah. I guess I could give you permission to say that. And after all those hypotheticals, I said, well, lucky for me, I guess, I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. It was during basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was medevaced from Fort Sill, Oklahoma to Fort Sam Houston. I was in a coma. I did have a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain that took years to dissipate. I do deal with headaches. I do deal with migraines. I do have memory issues. I do have cognitive disorders. I did go from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to 2nd grade math. And while I don't actually need your permission, thank you for giving me permission with your white male privilege, because you are so blindingly stupid to be ignorant and arrogant enough to tell me, as a half Chinese, half everything other than that, as far as, like, ethnic backgrounds, damn near, female, to say that. Don't forget, I'm pansexual, polyamorous in the BDSM, LGBTQP, and swinger communities. Not forgetting my spirituality, but thank you for not winding up as a stain on the mattress, so that way you could tell me that you guess you give me permission, where I actually earned my freedom of speech, my constitutional rights, my freedom of expression, not just because of not winding up as another abortion like you are the poster child for, boy, but because I actually earned it by being woman enough to sign that dotted line to defend not just my rights, but everyone in the United States of America's rights. For the Constitution, as well as the other ones, I, unlike you, boy, actually earned it. I don't actually need your permission, you sexist, racist, bigoted piece of trash, oxygen thieving, waste of flesh. And the boy looks at me and his jaw is dropped to the ground. And I'm just like, be gone. Go away. Shoo fly, don't bother me. Bye-bye. And he, kind of looked over at Jesse, my now ex-boyfriend, who's slowly coming out of the alleyway like, is it safe to come out? I'm like, I'm ready to go. I finished devouring this boy's soul. Get out of my way with your man bun. And he goes, it is a man bun. And I was like, you don't look like a man to me. You look like a scared little boy. So run. Run far away from me, boy. Don't come near me again. It's not going to be pretty if you come near me again. It took a lot for me to keep myself calm in this situation. So, toodles, scooch, 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 scooch. And then he actually said, "Are you really not scared of me?" If you have to ask that question, I don't think it takes a head injury to figure out, no, I'm not scared of you, boy. And he flinched. Which was just like icing on the cake, and it's like, skadoodle, get out of the way. And so, yeah, if that boy and whoever he was attempting to impress or whatever got upset because I wasn't backing down, I don't know. Having a haircut like this, maybe with the hair color as a female, might be a sign that I'm not one that tolerates certain things. Maybe having tattoos in the center of my palms and on top of my hands where it's the most sensitive part of the skin, maybe, hypothetically speaking, that should be a big old sign for you to be like, so she gonna not tolerate certain things. She might be nice about a lot of stuff, but maybe you shouldn't push that button without expecting what's going to be the response. And not in a threatening way, just in a realistic way. Because obviously I am appreciative of the rights that I not only earned for myself, but those who came before me, who fought for those rights, gave to me with their efforts, the ones of the current time frame, who continue to do everything possible, not just for me, for everyone in the United States of America. For all of those soldiers who have done and given everything possible for this modern era that didn't discriminate on gender, on sexual preference, on what the background is as far as any spiritual or non-spiritual, for any aspect beyond the fact that it was genuinely and truthfully in every single possible way for every human being to be able to enjoy the constitutional rights within the limits of the law, to not break any laws within reason, to cause problems or harm. I was doing nothing more than breathing, walking, and I said a few words. And that boy thought that he had the right, which he did. He technically had the right to say the words he said. What he did not have the right to do, though, was attempt to intimidate me. And the fact that he actually thought he did, thought that by asking me that. No, I've been through a few things that a little boy who is so lucky to have never seen any problems in reality, comparatively. No, I'm not scared of you. And if it was partially because of my Medal of Honor art project, and how dare I be patriotic? How dare I not discriminate against one political party or the other? Oh, excuse me for being equal and balanced. And as far as, how dare I care about my Medal of Honor art project? What artist doesn't care about their project or projects? They wouldn't do it if it wasn't something they cared about. And so also, since I did not ever deny being a Republican, but also not deny that I had voted for Democrats, I also did join the United States of America's Armed Forces Army branch during a Democratic president. I started my Medal of Honor art project during President Barack Obama's presidency. If I was against that sort of stuff and was biased, I probably I don't think it would take a head injury to figure out I wouldn't have done it if that really was an issue, but it wasn't. But yeah, I voted for Trump. I voted for many Republicans, more Republicans than Democrats. Not an offense towards Democrats, just because I agreed more with the conservative views of the Republican Party. I'm for the constitutional rights, and that does include the Second Amendment. However, I am also for responsible gun ownership, and I know that I probably have had the right to several occasions, but I prefer not to have to make that choice. And I know I can defend myself. I believe in the freedom of the press. I believe in the freedom of expression. I don't necessarily agree with taking certain individuals off social media platforms, because in certain ways I think that does limit their freedom of expression, so long as they're not inciting violence. I don't see how people like the Antifa group are allowed to be on, with the exception of to allow themselves to be caught. The equivalent of the dangling a horse or dangling a carrot in front of a horse. To be free to be able to do that, and then those who have the means to know how to do that stuff with the other stuff, I'm not one of them. I can only do so much, but I agree with the constitutional rights. And while I have been scared of certain things, the stuff that I've been scared of actually has been warranted to be scared of. I also haven't threatened people. I know better than that, because it doesn't take a head injury to figure that out. So if that boy got all upset because of those various things and figured out I was not intimidated by a little boy in purple W socks and a man bun. Isn't that an oxymoron for that boy? I don't know. I want to wear Constantine wire wings, Sam. No, I'm not afraid of what'll happen. What, you're not intimidated by me? As far as that boy, I don't know. I want to wear wings that are made out of Constantine wire. It'd be fun. It'd look really cool. Model that. Wouldn't it be fun? Man bun. I don't know. Which should technically I don't think it takes a head injury to figure that out. And I'm not going to not say that either. I'm going to say that a whole bunch. As much as I can, if I have the right, if I have the reason to, I have the right to. I don't actually like saying that, though. I actually, believe it or not, I actually do not like saying it shouldn't take a head injury to figure that out. But I'll say it if it's the right time. And I've said it before. Obviously. I just hope I don't have to say it again. It's a personal preference, despite having the right to. But I have a feeling that I am not the only person in the world who has had a head injury that has, if they didn't say it, they thought it. I wasn't lucky enough to go from like that intelligence to being smarter. I went from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math. So if I figure it out. So boy, if you're watching or listening, I didn't know it took a head injury to figure out that I have the right to say what I want. I earned it.